This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbroadcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates.
Up top, Mason, I just want to apologize. Welcome to Caravan of Garbage, everybody.
You want to apologise for welcoming them to Caravan of Garbage.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah, you don't have to be here, but we appreciate it and apologise. But I do want to apologise to all the Spider-Man 3 apologists out there. I apologise that they like this crap movie.
Oh, you got him! You got him!
I got him. It's not that bad. It's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad, but upon rewatch, there are some bright spots in this one. I hadn't seen it until... I watched it when it came out at cinemas, and I haven't seen it since. I've been renting all the Spider-Man movies, like on my TV, on Google Play or whatever.
Yeah.
Fun little side note, Spider-Man 3 is half the price of the other two. Just inexplicably.
Do you think they went, people want a bargain? They love this movie and they want a bargain.
Exactly,
that's
right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's really a case of like, well, I watched 1 and 2 and this one's, well, it's half the price. I guess.
I'll get changed from a 20, I guess. I'm putting cash into my TV.
Sure, yeah.
That's how that works.
And look, if any point during this video people could leave a like, that would help out greatly, would it not?
Absolutely.
I realized during this that I hate Peter Parker's happiness in these movies. I think he's more insufferable happy than he is miserable.
Yeah, that's probably true, actually.
When he's miming along to Mary Jane, and he's just like, and he's talking about how great it is to be Spider-Man, and people that chanting his name or whatever. And I know the point of it is that he's not hearing Mary Jane and her problems.
Yeah, right.
But it's like, this guy is just unbearable.
And it's always accompanied by some sort of montage and maybe a little bit of music behind it. You're right, yeah.
Why did he think that doing the upside down kiss in front of Mary Jane with a woman who's not his girlfriend would
he
play?
barely knows.
Yeah.
He doesn't know at all, really.
Also, that's half your face in the daylight with cameras.
Yep.
There's a lot of information that can be gleaned from people taking a photo of you.
That's so true.
They know you be man. They know you be white. They got your dental records.
From Gwen Stacy's mouth.
That's right.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I forgot Bryce Dallas Howard was in this.
That's right.
You know what? This movie is so long.
Yeah.
It's so long.
2 hours 18, something like that?
I kept forgetting that various characters were in the movie. Every 20 minutes, a character would show up and I'd go, oh yeah, Sandman's in this. I forgot his entire plot line was in this movie. Just before we started this, I went, I'll go to the Spider-Man 3 Wikipedia page just to get a handle on this.
Sure.
And it said, and also starring Thomas Hayden
Church.
Church as Flint Marko. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's a Sandman plot in this movie.
He is the standout villain from this movie.
Yep.
Well, the original plan was to just kind of keep him as the main...
Aside from New Goblin, obviously.
Of course, obviously, yeah.
New
But keep him as like the one main villain. But then there was push from the studio to put Venom in, and we'll get to that, I'm sure.
That's the downfall of a lot of superhero sequels is just... How many do we have left?
Yeah, exactly.
How many villains do we have left? Maybe we won't get three is a magic number for these kind of movies. Maybe we won't get a 4. Just chuck in as many as you can.
Absolutely.
And I guess Venom would have been a huge draw card at the time.
Yeah, but I think it obviously ended up backfiring on them by kind of cramming him in and then...
To the tune of $900 million?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it really backfired on him.
I just mean in terms of like backlash and then...
Yeah.
And them thinking that people want to reboot and not a Spider-Man 4. But Flint Marko, though.
Yes.
Flint Mako. Like the
Marko.
the Marko shark.
No. No.
There's a lot of things I like about that character. I think it's a good performance. The look is good.
You like his t-shirt.
I love his t-shirt.
You like a t-shirt tucked into a nice pair of slacks.
You know I do. The sound effects are incredible,
They're really good.
Yeah.
I'd forgotten.
It took him 3 years to develop that technology to make that formation kind of happen, when he rebuilds himself and you feel the emotion with his daughter. All of that is good.
His theme tune.
It's great.
Mr. Sandman. Sand me a man. Boom, 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 boom. Bring me the sandiest man that you can.
Oh, there he is.
Yep. But when you see the maybe the close-up of his hand, you see all the granules. Yeah.
Hadn't been done before.
Oh.
Not like that. I mean, sure, we'd seen big sand faces in The Mummy.
Yep, that's right.
But this is the next level sand face.
That's right.
You mentioned the music, though, because the score of this isn't Danny Elfman because he had a miserable experience working with Sam Raimi on number 2. So he quit. He's like, we're not friends and I'm not coming back. So they got Christopher Young to do it. And I think he does a good job.
I couldn't tell, certainly.
There you go. But apparently they did end up collaborating, though. Like, he did come back and... for a little bit to kind of help out.
That's interesting. I don't really picture any of those big, orchestral movie score guys collaborating in any way. It's never even occurred to me. I always thought they were just given the scenes.
Yeah.
And then he went, okay, boom, 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 and then he just sent it in, and they went,
probably.
Sure. There's
Seems about right.
maybe he just sends in random tapes and they go, I guess.
Yeah.
There's this you can cut this out, but there's an electronic music guy called Aphex Twin.
Right.
Like and it's all like weird pumping electronic stuff, right?
This would be perfect for the extended audio,
You
Mason.
better
if
believe
I
it.
don't-
You
If
better
I do
believe
cut
it.
about, yeah.
Anyway, and so apparently one time the band The Lemonheads, if you
yeah.
remember Mrs. Robinson, The Lemonheads, they sent him a song to like remix.
Yeah.
And then he was just at home and he forgot about it. And then day of, he gets a knock at the door and it's a courier. And the courier's like, can you give us the CD with the Lemonheads remix on it? And so he just gave him a random tape. And they took it and it exists now. They went, this is incredible. You've done it again, Aphex Twin.
And it was just anything.
It's just whatever he had on his desk. He just gave him a CD and was like, "That's it. That's the remix. I've really done a number on
Wow,
it. You'll barely recognize
You've
it."
turned this into Age of Empires 2, the CD-ROM video
That's
game.
right.
Incredible. The Sandman fight scenes are some of the best.
Mm.
So, there's some bad stuff in this, but when he's robbing the truck and
Yep.
he sweeps his legs out and he turns to sand, he punches through
Yeah.
it. They actually used an amputee in a Spider-Man suit to get that effect, so they could do it like on set, so it looks like he's got his arm right through him.
Oh right,
Yeah,
okay.
there's some good stuff there.
There you go.
Yeah, amputee boxer Baxter Humby.
Oh yeah,
There you go.
Good name, great name.
And he also, there was a moment where Sandman punches a brick, like a brick wall, and he's like, he's going for Spider-Man, and there's a big swing and a miss. Thomas Hayden Church punched a real brick in that because they told him they swapped it out. They're like, yeah, that's a fake brick. And he hit it, and they went, oh, we forgot to swap that out. And he's like, yeah, I fucking know. I just broke my hand.
There seems to be a theme emerging
Sure.
amongst the crew members of the Spider-Man movies, which is they're violent thugs,
Yeah.
and they want to hurt the cast of these movies.
Absolutely. If you go back over the videos, there is plenty of examples of that very thing. But yeah.
But yeah, a lot of the action sequences in this are surprisingly good.
Yeah.
The opening sequence, which is Peter Parker versus New Goblin,
Yeah.
is actually really good, I think. And I think it would be great if it was a villain we cared about on any level, or a recognizable villain. If that were the Hobgoblin,
Well, it is a recognizable villain from this series.
yes, for sure, it's Harry Osborn. Yeah.
But the costume really...
it's nothing.
It's absolutely nothing.
yeah.
Was Tony Hawk and snowboarding big at this
Mate,
point in
must
time?
have been, yeah.
I guess so, but like the mask is nothing.
I didn't even recall that it was a flying snowboard. I thought it was a goblin glider up until the rewatch. And
Oh,
I'm
right,
like,
okay.
Oh, that's a snowboard, yeah.
See, I think there are moments in that scene that look really good. For example, when he's trying to catch the ring out of midair and he
Yep.
shoots the web, and it's really Tobey Maguire moving past the camera. But there's a lot of CGI faces and men just tumbling over each other. A lot of that in this movie. I feel like there's less sets and more, and you mentioned this on Spider-Man 2, that we can kind of CGI anything now, but this movie really leads into that. There's a lot of, we're fighting in a nothing space, like that underground train tunnel that's just tunnels on tunnels and bridges and whatever. And the bit where New Goblin, our favorite new villain, is going through between
There's so many villains you could have made him into. You didn't have to make him the Hobgoblin or the Green Goblin again. Anything.
Apparently one of the masks you go past is supposed to be like a Hobgoblin reference. Because there's like a clear kind of Perspex-y, and I guess there's a bit of orange in it, but I didn't get that
Right,
at
no.
all.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You're right.
But the bit where he's going between the buildings, it just looks like he's standing nowhere.
That's
just
true,
kind of
yeah.
ducking and weaving it
Yeah, right.
back and forth.
Well,
but
I found it thrilling nonetheless.
I found it-
I think maybe it's because my standards were so, like, my expectations were so low for this one. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
actually not bad. Not a bad opening.
Yeah, okay. Did you like the bit, though, and I know I did, where he gets clotheslined and just hits the ground so fucking hard?
Yeah.
Like, he really hits
Yeah.
the wall and the bin and the ground or whatever.
Yeah,
It's great.
And I think that is the biggest illustration that this isn't an MCU movie. It's a cartoony, stylized Spider-Man movie. Because first of all, he doesn't die immediately.
No.
Powers or no powers, but also he gets amnesia.
Absolutely, he does.
I'll try that in a. I mean, sure, the Winter Soldier has his own brand of amnesia, but
That's different.
It is different, yeah.
Yeah. Is it?
no, I don't know. it's the little details
Yeah.
that make it.
I love how Peter Parker's like, oh, he's got amnesia. It's fine now.
Yeah.
We'll just hang out and play basketball. And we'll all make omelets together.
What should I do with the millions of dollars worth of dangerous military technology he has in his house? Just leave it there? Sure, why not? What are the odds he'll get his memory back and go and retrieve those and try and kill me again?
That performance is so weird, James Franco in this movie. Like the bit where they're sitting together in the diner and having that discussion, and he throws him the wink when he's out the window and he's eating the
that's
pie.
right.
It's so, and he's got that weird like dead eye.
Also, did he finish the pie?
No, I think he took it to go.
I was going to say, yeah. In that nanosecond while the bus goes past, he's
right.
like, "Quick, can you take this to go? Here's your tip." Okay. He calculated 20% out real quick. And he's like, "There you go."
I love though when he finally figures out who he is and what he is and whatever. He threatens Mary Jane and's like, "You better tell Peter Parker to you bloody break up with him in a second because I'm going to steal his heart or whatever." She's like, "Sure, no worries." She's not like, "Didn't he knock you out? And didn't he kill your dad and also beat up the octopus man?" Like he could probably, when it came down to it, he could probably sort you out again. Which he does.
Yeah, he absolutely does. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's one of those situations where if everybody kind of just talks openly about it, like if they met on the bridge and she was like, "Hey, heads up, he's over there and he threatened to kill me and kill you."
As far as I know, he doesn't have super hearing, so we can really say anything we want. I mean, just act sad for a minute. I'm not actually breaking up with you. I'm just pretend I am and make a sad face. You're very good at your sad faces,
Absolutely.
Peter.
You clearly practice in the mirror.
You're doing one right now, regardless of what I'm saying. So just keep doing that. Then we'll pretend we're broken up. And then anyway, I'm going to be at the coffee shop with him later. Just clothesline him again.
Yeah. Of course, there's a third villain in this Spider-Man 3, because why wouldn't you have to put one on him? That is Venom. To me, the most disappointing villain from this, because New Goblin, who cares? Sandman, I wasn't really a fan at the time.
You weren't a Sand fan.
I was, exactly. Sandman fan, Sandman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You weren't Fan Man.
No.
Your own character for Sandman.
That's
I understand.
right, yeah.
Sure.
So I heard when he was being put into the movie, I'm like, great, because I really want to see Venom on the big screen.
Topher great.
Yeah, Topher great, exactly. First off, on that you just said then, it's bad casting. Like the frosted tips, he's too small. Like he put on like 24 pounds of muscle to play the role and he quit that 70s show to make it happen. He's the antithesis to Peter Parker, you know what I mean? Imagine a photographer, but somewhat less unlikable in some ways, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. He's not Peter Parker's opposite, really.
No.
He just has some of the negative traits that Peter Parker doesn't have. Peter Parker has half the world's negative traits, and Eddie Brock has the other half.
Like the moment when he rolls up when there's the big crane accident, which I think looks quite good because that's one of the, it's a practical set that kind of drops and things slide across and whatever. And he's like, "Oh, that's your daughter hanging there. That's Gwen. Oh, by the way, I'm dating your daughter." It's not the time. Like, what are you?
Yeah, read the room,
What
mate.
are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? That's the farmer from Babe, and probably Babe 2 Pig in the City.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Farmer Hoggett.
Ah, yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
And he's like, "That'll do, Eddie Brock.
Yeah.
That'll do, all right?"
Yeah, but it's like the look of it's fine, I guess, because it's Venom, isn't it?
And he's meant to be like the douchebag version of Peter Parker, I guess.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we were all fans of Venom back in the 90s and 2000s. Sure. I wanted Eddie Brock to be this hulking mass of a man. Like he's got to appear to be physically like he could bully Peter Parker,
You're talking out of the costume, right?
Yeah, out of the costume, yeah.
Yeah.
And like the idea, one of the elements of the symbiote costume is that it enhances your own strength, or it enhances what you already have. And like, because Eddie Brock's supposed to be this kind of like quite strong bodybuilder, that adds on to the Spider-Man strength and the symbiote strength to make him physically larger and more imposing than Spider-Man. But the version we get, he's the same size.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
not, I mean, the Tom Hardy Venom movie got a lot of stuff wrong, but at least size-wise.
At least he got in that lobster tank.
Exactly. That's
What else
right.
do you want?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing.
It was improv on set. They didn't even know they were going to do it, but he got in that lobster tank, and then they're like, "Bring in some real lobsters," and they're like, "Is this a good movie?" And they're like, "It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, does it?"
Tom Hardy says he's allergic to shellfish. It doesn't matter. Get him to bite some heads off.
These are Spider-Man movies. We don't give a shit about the actors.
That's right.
Yeah. What I don't also like about this character is he just comes from nowhere. I'm talking about the symbiote, whatever. It just drops out of the sky. There's no explanation. It's not like it's drawn to Peter Parker. Like it is.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why it landed there.
But where did it come from?
Where
We
did it
don't
come
know.
from?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, and I don't need an origin for everything, but it could have easily been the version that was created in a lab.
Yeah,
I don't know. But also one early version of what was going to be, and we mocked this character in the last movie.
John Jameson.
John Jameson was going to bring it back from space.
Perfect. Would have worked.
Yeah.
But I guess...
he would have turned up and I would have been, "Who's this?"
Yeah.
Oh, it's that boring...
Exactly.
It's that boring guy who wouldn't shut up about space.
And I guess if they'd laid the groundwork for that in Spider-Man 2, like in a, final scene, or we see John Jameson arrive in NASA or whatever and he's got it in there, we'd be like, oh yeah, that's pretty, okay, that makes a lot of sense. That's some good foreshadowing. But I guess Sam Raimi had no intention of putting Venom in Spider-Man 3, so there wouldn't have been anything like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. But they were like, this has to be 2 hours and 18 minutes, so you need to pad. So
do we know why he was so adamant against putting Venom in this?
I think it just wasn't a character that he enjoyed or related to.
Right.
And I think that's very evident in the way that they deal with him in the end, because he explodes.
Sure.
And you see his skeleton.
Yep, you
So
absolutely do.
Both the symbiote and Eddie Brock gone.
So dead.
Yeah. Like some of the villains, you're like, well, you know, there's still a body and whatever, and maybe the Green Goblin, he's a hallucination, he's coming back, and the Sandman blows off in the breeze, and Dr. Octopus, he drowns, but the arms could probably swim themselves away. But this guy, it's like, no, he was atomized.
Yeah, that's
There is
right.
nothing left of this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But apparently, though, that intro with John Jameson was to save time and money to bring him back from space. But just be like, look what we found in space. Like, you don't need to show him getting it and bringing it back
No,
down.
absolutely not. Yeah, exactly. Because again, this universe is kind of a closed universe.
Yeah.
It's just Earth, and it's just what happens pretty much in New York.
Yeah.
And just to bring something out of space for no reason.
Yeah.
Is
It doesn't
bizarre.
match the other,
No,
the
it
kind
really
of the
doesn't.
tone and the other characters that have been brought in, at all. Early drafts for this movie, though, included the Lizard, who Dylan Baker plays. You know, he turns up again from 2, and Electro, and before Venom, it was Vulture. So that's kind of the road that they kind of took to get here. But of course, Mason, there's a fourth villain in this movie, and that fourth villain
New
is
York City.
No, Mason.
A real Samantha.
Isn't it just? It's Aunt May's boring story that goes nowhere because this character has nothing to do in this movie.
I can't even remember what she
Remember
does
the
in
bit
this
where
movie.
she's like, okay,
is her house being foreclosed on again?
No, Mason, they already did that. It's gone. She's
Ah.
like, me and your uncle, when he proposed, we swam out to an island and both of us were really good swimmers. And when we got out there, he sat me down and he was like, May, do you want to marry me? And she's like, I did want to marry him, but then I said no because I knew I was too young. And then we swam back and then we had a bit of bloody cobbler or whatever.
But guess what? I retrieved this black substance from space while we were there. See, it ties all together. You
they
weren't
could
paying
have done it
attention.
all.
Yeah, that's right.
That makes sense to me now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's, of course, a fifth villain in this movie, that being Emo Peter Parker, who shows
Oh,
up.
that's right.
It's weird and embarrassing, and it looks ridiculous. He looks ridiculous.
And I guess the justification is that this is what a real nerdy loser
Yeah.
would
Would
imagine
think.
being a cool
Yeah.
guy was like.
What a 34-year-old guy
Yes.
would think a cool guy is, because he's still in college. This is apparently set 1 year after 2, and 2 is set 2 years after 1. So he's technically 21-ish.
All right, okay,
You can buy
sure.
that, right?
Yeah,
you can see it.
Absolutely. I can tell from his youthful fringe. That's my favorite move, I think, in the whole movie, is when he decides to be evil and he just fringes his hair down. He just pushes it down and goes, yeah, that's what evil cool guys do.
This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And the dance sequence is embarrassing. It's also weird how some of the women are like, oh, hello, and some of the women are like, yuck. So that's why I'm like, is this supposed to be cool or not cool? I
Yeah, it's a
can't
mystery,
really
isn't it?
tell what you're going for here. And it doesn't work, and his cool guy clothes are about as cool as his regular clothes.
They really are. They're just slightly darker.
The eyeliner and the flat hair, surely you'd go, emo's not going to last, is it? Like, is this? But I guess it was the era, and you're kind of leaning
Emo
into.
certainly didn't think that.
Sure.
Also, there's the bit where has he always known how to play piano? Has he just lacked the confidence
That's a really
to play
good question.
piano? Or is integrating himself with the symbiote given him piano playing abilities?
Maybe the symbiote could play space piano, and then it's just brought those skills to
Spiano?
Earth. Yeah, Spiano. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, and then he punches Mary Jane in the face. So that's really good, isn't it?
I disagree.
Yeah, well done, everyone. This whole sequence is really, really good and well thought out. Yeah,
But jazz, you know?
but jazz.
It's all about the girlfriends you don't punch. You can take that out.
Of course, Bruce Campbell returns as a French waiter. It's got my favourite line in it where he just says, "Romance, I am French." And then there's a pause. He's not French.
What, Bruce Campbell isn't French?
No, I just mean this. They were always going to do Quentin Beck, right? Because he's clearly not French in this movie.
I don't think they. I don't buy that
They
theory.
were rolling it into 4. There are storyboards that he was going to for part 4 that he was going to be Mysterio.
I'm aware of that, but I feel as we know, Sam Raimi puts Bruce Campbell into all his movies, regardless. Like whether it's he's right at the end of Darkman, he's the last mask in Darkman.
Sure, he's probably in that Wizard of Oz prequel.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, what I'm saying is, I know the prevailing fan theory is that his appearances in the first 3 Spider-Man movies, it's Quentin Beck and he's maneuvered Spider-Man into some sort of situation.
Yeah.
But I think the storyboard of him being led away, it's just the start of the start of 4, and he's just defeated a terrible, lame bad guy in the form of Mysterio.
I'd love to know what people think in the comments below.
Me too.
Me also. Tobey Maguire didn't work out for this movie. I was keeping a close eye on him. I'm like, what's going on here? He got ripped for 1. We saw you shirtless 2.
Yep.
We get a little bit of a peek
Yeah.
in front of
This
the window.
one, Spider-Man 3, he Blade 3'd it.
Yeah, he Blade 3'd it, which is fine
Yeah.
because he still looks good. But the moment where he's tearing off the symbiote and you see the back of him, it's just some other dude.
Right.
Like that, the back of his head. That's not him, which is fine, man. I mean, doing that is super difficult. But yeah, I just think that's important that I let people know that I realize that.
Sure. Okay, good.
Did you know there is an alternate editor's edition of this movie?
Really?
Yeah.
It wasn't done by Topher Grace, was it? Because I know he does his own edits of
He
things,
does it.
right?
He does the Star Wars prequels. He mashes them all together. Exactly. I don't believe so. This was released officially a few years back. One of the moments I mentioned earlier where the butler, who's like actually Bill Paxton's dad.
Huh.
There you go.
Bill Dadston.
Bill Dadston, yeah. That dude's way too old to be a butler, by the way. Like, he's like 87 years old. Like, he shouldn't be
Yeah.
butlering. Like, the family should have been like, you could have retired 20 years ago. Don't make this guy work.
Yeah, that's
What are you
exactly right.
doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd think if you were a nice rich family, you'd be like, we'll call you if you need, just be in the guest house.
Yeah.
But Harry Osborn's like, get some food. We've got guests. Lay out a meat platter. Whatever your name is, I don't even know.
So in the alternate cut,
Yes.
he actually picks up a photo of his friends, like him and Mary Jane and Peter. And
Harry
he's like,
Osborn does.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, that's right, we're all mates, and I'm going to go help in the bloody Sandman fight, in the Venom fight at the end. Which makes more sense to me. Not a guy being like, the Goblin glider was, your bloody dad killed himself or whatever.
In his balls.
And the other idea was that the butler was going to be another illusion of Harry representing his good side. So his father was the bad side and the butler wasn't real.
Oh.
At which point did this happen? In the movies?
Well,
I do not know.
They're his parents.
I guess they are.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's another...
He looks at their wedding photo,
yeah.
the butler and Norman Osborn, and he goes, I should do what my other dad, the butler, says, and you'll be proud of me.
There's also some...
Does that mean the butler was never real?
That's what I don't know.
So that means that when he went, Butler, we've got guests, put some food out, he would have spent the rest of the scene going, Butler didn't put any food out.
You're fired! So, another one is the shot of Peter looking cautiously at the box that holds his black suit. The Christopher Yang score is added to more scenes. There's a moment when Sandman visits his daughter and there's a sand castle, and she's like, oh
forgot
my
the
god,
Sandman
a
was in
sand
this.
Yeah, he's in it, Mason.
Yeah,
He's
right.
in the movie. And they cut that very long May Parker scene, which is no good. Not
okay.
that they cut it. It's a no good scene, and I'm glad that they
I
cut
understand, sure.
it. You know how this movie's all about some recycled ideas, including the bit where Mary Jane is kidnapped again or whatever.
Oh my god, she's kidnapped so many times in this
Yeah.
in this series, yeah.
What's going on there? Well, apparently they just recycled her screams from part 2 as well. 'Cause they're
Incredible.
Like, whatever.
Yeah, right.
People aren't going to notice. And we didn't, clearly.
No, and I imagine there's once you reach a certain level of stardom, there's an element in your contract that just says she's not going to scream anymore.
You don't scream for nobody.
Yeah,
You get
exactly.
to the third in a threequel,
Ugh,
don't
no-
even
no
worry about it.
screams.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This was actually changed during shooting because Bryce Dallas Howard was going to be the one who was kidnapped, and Mary Jane goes to Harry and goes, go and save Bryce Dallas Howard and help Spider-Man. And he's like, all right, then I will. And Kirsten Dunst, she wasn't happy about that, and Sam Raimi apologized to her. He's like, I'm so sorry, but this is the way this movie's going. But it's dull.
So did Kirsten Dunst want to be kidnapped?
No, she did not want to be
say.
kidnapped. Yeah.
I was going to say it would surprise me if she kicked the door in one day on the director's office and was
Yeah.
like, "What? I'm not getting kidnapped in this one. This is a disgrace."
What am I even here for? You're recycling my screams. Are you kidding me?
Aye, there's a fresh one for you. That one's for free. The next one will cost you.
I liked the final battle in the construction site for the
Yeah,
most part. The British reporter is terrible. You know,
Oh,
it's just like
Mrs.
it's hard.
Exposition.
It's hard
That's
to
Basil
believe what's
Exposition's
happening.
wife.
The brutality. You know, there's a bit where Venom's got Spider-Man pinned down and the Sandman's just laying into him.
Yep.
And then it cuts back to that comical moment of this reporter. Just like, and we see it. We know it's bad. We don't need somebody telling us. Yeah.
And again, like that's I feel a hallmark of this series is that it is
people pointing out things as they happen.
exactly,
Yeah.
but it's comic books moved to the big screen sort of as literally as possible.
Yeah.
And in a comic book, I think, of like 19 70s or 80s vintage,
Yeah.
which I feel like a lot of these movies are kind of based on, because that's
Sure.
probably Sam Raimi's wheelhouse. There would be a reporter in there just
being
standing
like,
stock still in a panel, just
This
talking
is
about
what's happening.
Yeah,
In
exactly.
case these bad pictures aren't clear. This is
Exactly.
what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like the return of New Goblin, though.
Who wouldn't? It's everyone's favorite character, New Goblin.
But the bomb in the ear, I think that's a good kind of arrival point.
For sure,
And,
yeah.
it blows out the side of his head and he's like breathing kind of fire and smoke, like coughing it up.
Yeah.
I think it's quite good. Yeah. And then he's impaled like his dumb dad. So,
Sure, yeah. Oh, I've been impaled. Like your dumb dad. Thanks, Peter.
I think the Sandman has a good ending, though.
I mean, he does. I mean, he did brutalize a lot of people.
Yeah.
He beat up all those cops
Yeah,
earlier on.
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
For his daughter or whatever.
Yeah,
but I
for
think,
sure.
Peter comes to the realization that he's living with hate in his heart.
Oh, and he killed his uncle.
He killed his uncle. I was going to ask you about that retcon. I know you're not really a fan. Did this change anything for you?
No, I still hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, It being the original guy, when Peter gets him, it kind of closes the book on that.
Yeah.
And then he's doing what he's doing, not out of some sort of vengeance or whatever. He's doing it because it's the right thing to do. And I feel like leaving the guy out who murdered your uncle just out in the world,
Yeah.
it's no good.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know?
I did like the moment where he's explaining to him that he's like, look, your uncle said, why don't you just put the gun down and just walk away? And he's like, look, I realize that, he was just trying to help me or whatever. I think that's genuinely a good moment.
Yeah, for sure.
And then he kind of gets his redemption and he blows away in the breeze. The only villain from this series to survive definitively.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I quite like that. Anyway, everyone just cries at each other and then it's the end. It's a mixed bag, to be sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, not as bad as I remember it being. But again, I think at the time expectations were high.
Yeah.
It was an era where there wasn't going to be another superhero movie the next month.
Sure,
So,
yeah.
the superhero movies were hitting the mainstream, but you still had to convince people like, no, these can be good kind of thing. And
Yeah.
to get
Rise of the Silver Surfer, don't even worry about it. It's going
It's
to
gonna be
it's a massive,
incredible.
they're putting in the Fantastic Car. So
That's right.
head on down. Sam Raimi, though, was deeply unhappy with how this movie turned out. He hoped to make the fourth film. That was the plan, and he was going to make up for it in doing that. We talked about the storyboards, how, it was all fleshed out. It was pretty much ready to go. They were talking about as late as like 2011, and he was having meetings with Sony. And they kept going like, "Are you sure you want to come back? Because we maybe you want to move on. Maybe you want to do something else." And he was like, "Do you want me back?" And they kind of came to this realization that, he came to the realization that maybe they didn't, and they wanted to do the reboot. Yeah,
You'd think they would have all the power there. Like that seems very diplomatic for a
Yeah.
huge multinational entertainment company. You'd think that he'd come in and they'd get some of his movie crew to beat him up.
sure. Yeah. They do it.
They'd absolutely do it.
They do not even care. But yeah, he also said that this movie just raises the stakes, but to what end? Like, because it doesn't serve the characters. It just kind of goes bigger
And longer.
and longer.
Yeah.
I want them to make a fourth one, genuinely.
In what form?
I'd like to give them to give it back to Raimi, make a movie set within this universe. I mean, who knows where Venom's set? They've got Spider-Verse, they've got the MCU version, they
You're
did the
right.
Garfield version. I think you could continue this. I think it's been long enough that you could cycle back around to this, and I think it would do very well.
Now, when you say that, who's in this? Who's hypothetical sequel in this Spider-Man 4?
The villains that they were going to originally use have now been used.
No, I mean actors.
Same.
Tobey Maguire's
Yeah,
back.
bring everybody back.
Okay.
Just do another one. I think the same thing with the Keaton Batman. I'm not saying scrap the new Batman. I'm not saying scrap the new Spider-Man.
right.
I'm saying we're in an era now where people understand that there are different superheroes in different
Yeah,
universes.
right.
We don't need another origin. We don't need what if he was bitten? Peter Parker was 16 again. He was bitten by another spider. The MCU even know that.
Yeah,
They didn't even
That's
go
true.
that way.
How about this? How about what if they teased it in Spider-Verse 2 and then gauge that popularity?
Yeah, I'd take that.
Yeah, okay. I'd probably see another
Yeah.
one. So it'd be set now.
Yes.
Okay, right.
And, you come back to Peter Parker when he's 64 years old. However old Tobey Maguire would have to beat out. I think he's like 43 or something like that.
Yeah, right.
So,
So he'd be 32 in the movie.
yeah, that's right. Exactly.
cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah.
It's my 21st birthday.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's a fool's dream, but I think with all this multiverse stuff happening
Yeah.
and, there is call for a live-action Spider-Verse movie, then maybe that's the way to
What
go.
if it's a YouTube short?
No.
Like,
Fuck
the
off.
Punisher Dirty Laundry.
Actually, I like that one.
Yeah,
that's
it's pretty good,
that's the
right?
only good one.
Yeah, right. Uh-huh.
Yeah. Anyway, this has been Caravan of Garbage for Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. We will come back and do the...
Spider-Man 4 when it's finally released,
Absolutely,
as you just
we
mentioned.
will. Yeah. But
Until then, no videos.
that's right. We'll be doing the Andrew Garfield versions probably the next time a Spider-Man movie rolls around. I think I need a bit of a break from these Spider-Man movies for a while.
Would you watch An Amazing Spider-Man 3?
No, that one I wouldn't.
What about all the stuff in the basement?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of shit in that
There's
basement, isn't there?
There's a lot of backpacks in that basement filled with cool guns and
Look,
stuff.
I'll take a YouTube short where they just go, yeah, the basement was flooded.
Yep.
We lost it all.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, if you've got a suggestion for Caravan of Garbage, bloody, we'll take a look. What do you want to see?
Absolutely.
And what do you think of the Raimi Trilogy in general? Are these good? Do these hold up? Having given them a bit of a breather and coming back,
Yep.
I kind of have a newfound respect for them.
Me too. I was
Yeah.
pleasantly surprised. I think if you realize they're nowhere close to being even set anywhere near the real world. They're set in a very comic booky, very stylized,
At a very
kind of-
specific time in movie history.
very kind of 4-color superhero comic book world. I think they work really well. So,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, this
don't-
one less so,
Sure.
but you know what's up.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm at Mr. Sunday Movies on Twitter.
I'm at Wikipedia Brown on Twitter.
We, of course, have our podcast, The Weekly Planet, where we talk movies and comics and TV shows. We recently did an episode on the new Spider-Man movie, Far From Home. I'll link that below if you want to check it out. Thanks, everybody.
Grab that gem, you guys. We'll see you next week.
Goodbye. And now it's time for us, as we did at the end of every one of these videos, is to sing the pop rock song that was released with this movie.
Was there one, really?
Yeah.
Was it Dashboard Confessional again?
No, it was probably whatever the fuck Jared Leto's dumb fucking band was.
30 Seconds to Mars.
I don't think it was them. But it's probably something like, Hope's got you by the webs. What do you got to do? Can't escape. Put your fringe down. Sandman, he's here. Oh no, it's Venom too. Is that it?
Yeah, that was absolutely it. Or was it just Tobey Maguire playing the entertainer on a piano? Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Boom, boom.
This podcast is part of the Planet Broadcasting Network.
Visit planetbroadcasting.com for more podcasts from our great mates. I mean, if you want. It's up to you.